Class is in session. It's your host, Urban Scholar, and I want to thank you guys for your continued participation. Today's show is going to be a dope show. It's been a much requested topic. We're going to be talking about family and loyalty, which I believe is a very important subject. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about family and loyalty, and we're probably going to break it up into several parts because we want to keep the videos short but to the point. So we'll probably do a complete show, and then we'll break it up into maybe 3, maybe 4 parts, depending how long the discussion goes on today. So let's talk about family, and we're talking about loyalty, which involves or entails relationships. So let's talk about family, and I'm talking about not just like immediate family, mother, fathers, kids. We're talking about families that are blended, like relationships and things of that nature. We're going to talk about some real crucial stuff because I believe that's an important topic that's not talked about a lot. And the reason why I want to discuss that is because there are a lot of people out there with families and blended families, and a lot of issues stem from that. And a lot of people don't know how to manage in and out of those situations. So we're probably going to have to do several parts because we want to keep this thing to the point. We want to really address some certain issues for people because we're here to learn. Class is in session. So let's talk about family and what that means. Everybody has a different concept. Even those who come from the same parents, when you go out into society and you get into relationships and you start having children with people, everybody comes from a different source of what family is and what that concept is and what it means. And everybody comes, right, with a different experience. So, and these are things that I believe cause a lot of issues in families because as children grow up, and they tend to think that they can do things a little different from how their parents did it, or they're in a relationship with someone and they're being influenced by that person. So say you have like a teenage daughter who is dating someone, right? And they tend to follow, teenagers tend to follow what their friends are saying and what they're doing, which sometimes can be a conflict in your household. So how do you handle those type of situations? What do you do? And how do we overcome these certain circumstances? So let's talk about beliefs. Everybody comes to the table with a set of beliefs. And what has to happen is those beliefs need to be understood, right? Why am I saying that? Because if you don't take the steps to understanding your partner's beliefs, your friend's beliefs, or your children's beliefs, right? You're going to be put in situations where things are not going to be fun. You're not going to like outcomes. People are going to be treating each other indifferent. And it's going to be viewed that it's not a good situation. And these situations can become toxic. And that is a major thing I see in today's world as I go out in the world helping people and clients I've had. I see that there's a lot of issues there where people become what we call toxic. So how do you overcome those things and how do you address those issues? The first thing is understanding and acceptance. See, once somebody explains themselves to you, sometimes based on the way you communicate, you're not going to properly understand it. And if the issues continue, it's because that person is either choosing not to understand you, or they're unable to understand you, or they don't give a shit, right? And sometimes that's what it is. They don't give a shit. But in a lot of cases, people are growing up with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, because they've had certain events happen in their lives, and how they see things, how they see the world, and how they communicate within it is completely different from you, right? And this could be a nightmare for relationships. So for the parents who are struggling with kids who are out there smoking this new weed, right? And tripping and going through all these things, and they're addicted to social media and their phones and things like that. How do you even begin to try to understand that? It's very important if you don't want to lose touch with your family members, with your children, is that you really sit down and listen to them, even if you don't agree. And I'm saying this from a parent standpoint because parents tend to think because they know things that it's automatic and I say it this way and this is the way it's supposed to go. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. My children do things all the time that are contrary to what I believe, what I've taught them, and whatever the case may be. And I exercise patience with them, right? And if you're in a relationship with someone who's not getting you, right, whatever that means, not getting you, then you got to understand that people are either going to work on what their obstacles and their issues are, or they're not. See, as an adult, you have to really ask yourself, is this something that I want to be vested in or invest in? Because what happens is, as you get older, you start to view people as dream stealers. What's a dream stealer? A dream stealer, you become that person where you start having regret in this relationship because you feel like you're trying to accomplish certain things or you're trying to go in a certain direction and your partner is not in alignment with that. And on their end, the partner probably feels the same way as well. But in some cases, the partner's unable to align themselves with you because they have their own internal struggles, right? And you have to get to a point in life where you decide, am I going to let this person steal my dreams, or am I going to overcome it and make decisions to continue this or to remove myself from this? How bad and how much do you want your dream? That's what this comes down to. Because if you're a person of high standards and you're trying to establish legacy, you tend to move a certain way. You tend to move with a purpose. You tend to move with intention. And a lot of times you can have family members who really can't relate to you or even understand that concept, right? So you become foreign to them. And in a lot of cases, in a lot of little family structures, you get outcasted, where you're looked at as the crazy one. And you probably are the crazy one because you're crazy enough to fight through whatever it is you want to go through to accomplish whatever it is you want. And there's nothing absolutely wrong with that. And if a person wants to be a person that's what we call a 9-to-5er, where they wake up, and they have the same routine every day, you're allowed to be that. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you choose for yourself. But you can't expect a person, right, who's opposite of that to be okay with that and to want to endure in that type of situation. So what happens is, as adults, right, see, when you're young, when you're 20 to 30, right, your brain's still growing a little bit, right, and you're not totally there. So you're allowed that room to figure things out and make a lot of mistakes. But as you get older and you start getting 35 to 40, right, you start to look at life a little different, right? There's this book I read. It's called The Stages of Man or something like that. And it's like 5 stages. And it talks about from birth to becoming a teenager, from becoming a teenager to like the age of like 30 something, and then to like 30, 35, into your 40s, 50s, right? That's like the 3rd stage. And they say men peak in the 3rd stage, and they say women peak in the 2nd stage. So more than likely, because women are smarter, right? A lot of people don't want to admit to that. Women are smarter than men. And they peak faster, right? So women peak when they're younger, in their 20s, right? And it's like they can do so much, right? Men peak a little late because we're immature we're a little longer. We remain immature for some reason a little longer than women are. Women, they can get their stuff together when they're young. They can decide at 21, man, you know what? I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Men be still on some funny business, right? And I can speak from experience because I went to grad school at I believe I was like in my 30s. I was 35. So I peaked at that point. I accomplished that, and in 2009, I achieved my master's. And honestly, it was a challenge, but it wasn't hard. So if I didn't have the life experiences that I had, that would have been a nightmare for me and a challenge. But so I don't want to get off topic. So the focus is family and loyalty, right? So some people are in conflict about whether they're being loyal to their family. The first question is, are you being loyal to yourself? Or are you allowing someone to steal your dream? Or are you tampering with your purpose and not fulfilling it? You're going to end up with a lot of regrets. And I'm going to tell you about regret, because we all have it. We all deal with it. I went to high school. Prior to getting to high school, I was a good kid, had good grades, A's and B's, some C's, had the highest level of math at the time. Then high school changed everything for me, right? And we're talking about family. So I couldn't really go to my parents. They never really finished. They didn't finish high school, elementary school, right? So me and my brother and sister was always on our own doing our homework, which wasn't a problem. We was able to keep up. But when I got to high school, there was so much stuff going on there that it changed my whole trajectory and how I saw things. And I kind of started falling behind. I wasn't doing my work. So I was viewed as not smart. And what happened was there was other things going on at school that distracted me, and it took over my thinking, right? So why is family important? Because if you come from a family where I could have went home and talked about this kind of stuff, it just wasn't a thing you did. Because education was important to my parents, but it wasn't something that they preached about because they didn't have theirs. And our parents allowed us to be completely independent and to go through this educational process on our own. And they knew that we knew what we were doing. So I had nobody to really talk to about it, and I fell behind. So what am I saying here? I couldn't play sports. That was a major regret for me, because I played all the sports. I played baseball, I played basketball, I played football, but I never played organized sports. I always played on the street with my friends. So that's a regret. So now, fast forward, I had children. I remember my son playing basketball and me being all on top of that, like, hey, right? And also learning to communicate with him in that time, to not impose what I wanted on him and to transfer what I wanted to happen for me to him. Because I was a little disappointed when he didn't really take it as serious as I thought he should. And I realized, I said, this is his life. And I had to learn how to back off. So this is why family communication is important, because people talk about loyalty and they want to equate it to family. And sometimes it's just learning how to communicate with people. It's not that people are, in some situations, are not being loyal to. It's just people are making their own decisions in these situations. And if it's your children or if it's your spouse or your husband, whatever the case may be, your wife, right? We have to learn to allow people to be who they are in these family structures, in these families' environments. And that could be a challenging thing, because if you're a person who has controlling type behavior and you tend to want things to go your way, it's going to be difficult. So that's one regret that I had that I wish I could do over, because I felt like I had the potential to go to the next level with the sports, whether it was football or basketball, case may be, or even baseball, which I never even gave it a thought. So this is why I'm so into sports and things like that. And I want to encourage people to every day to go out there and try not to live with no regrets, and just do what you want now. Why wait? So it goes back to that whole point about dream stealers. A lot of us have family members and friends who are dream stealers, right? And they're selfish people who love you for how they love you, not for, they don't love you the way that you need them to love you. And in some cases, they can't, and in some cases, they refuse to. When I say they can't, they mean they're unable to. They can't get away or get from inside or outside of themselves to kind of understand where you are and what it is that you're trying to accomplish out here. So that's important. So we're talking about family and loyalty. Right? It's a very thin line. We have to understand that some people, right, and that everybody operates in a manner that's conducive to them. And some people are stuck in that 9-to-5 mentality. Then you have other folks who are go-getters. They get out here and they want to go over and take over the world. And sometimes it becomes a conflict with relationships, whether it be your kids, your spouse, or whatever the case may be. And you have to do some real deep soul searching and ask yourself some serious questions about what it is you want for you and what's best for you. So I'm going to leave that there. And I want to thank you guys for joining us. And I want you to remember that the future is Urban Scholar.